Time again for a podcast. And today, my very special guest is Susie Taylor. And Susie's from Ohio, where she lives with her husband. I don't know your husband's name. What's your husband's name?
Terry.
Terry. There are 5 dogs. What are their names?
Three dogs.
Three
Three
dogs.
dogs. Balto, Hank, and Bryn.
And then what's the other 2 cats?
5 cats.
Oh, see, I always just looked for the dog. I saw 5 and I saw the word dogs, and that's all there was as far as I was
Yeah.
concerned. So
Yeah.
you have some 5 cats too. And this was the most interesting part here. A 50-year-old, I know you're going to think I'm saying a bird. No, it's a Christmas cactus. She's kept a Christmas cactus alive for 50 years. So,
Well, I haven't. My mother did, and I just happened to inherit it from her after she passed away.
oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, Susie, I am so glad that you're here today. I'm going to start this podcast like I start every one of them. Is what a milk crate moment is, as far as I'm concerned. That crossroads where we're not sure where we're at, we're not sure what to do, and we've got to find a way through that path, right, to get us back on track, right? So, will you tell me your milk crate moment?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Our oldest son had multiple disabilities, and he had a surgery in May of 2021 that we had put off for years because we knew it would just be really, really difficult for him to recover from it. And as it turned out, he did not recover from the surgery. He spent 5 weeks in the ICU in the hospital, and he passed away on June 18th of 2021. So I found myself at this desk in July, a couple of weeks later, just looking at myself in the reflection of my computer screen, wondering, what do I do now? Who am I now?
You were his sole caregiver?
Primary caregiver. We did have a nurse, and my husband helped out immensely when he was home, but he was the one who worked outside the house.
Right.
I was here in the house, and so I was the one who went to all the appointments, made all the appointments, made sure the medicine was here, all that kind of stuff for him. And he was when he passed away, he was 28 and a half years old. So I spent almost 30 years identifying as Evan's mom, and now all of a sudden, I'm not Evan's mom anymore.
So it was 28 years of constant care he needed from you daily?
Yes, he was a 26-week preemie and spent the first 5 months of his life in the hospital. And he, when he did come home, he was blind, had cerebral palsy, seizures, was fed through a feeding tube, used a wheelchair his whole life. And he was basically nonverbal. He did say mommy and daddy, and the universal no that every child knows how to say no, the universal word, which is no. So he was very good at saying no.
He was. So you're sitting at your desk, you're contemplating what?
What do I do? I had a, let's say, fledgling freelance writing business that I had tried to do. I had just a few clients, not anything long term or regular, but then I thought, well, what do I do now? And I thought, well, if I'm going to do it, this is the time. This is the time to jump in with both feet, put my heart into it, and I decided to form an LLC. On that day, it started the whole process, and I've been the sole member of Tailor Made Marketing LLC ever since.
Well, that's great. So what do you feel like pushed you through that point where you're sitting there contemplating? What gave you the drive to say, okay, now I can do this?
I guess it was my son. It was Evan, and then his brothers, our other 2 boys. I didn't want them to see me give up, and I have a faith belief that he is in heaven. I will be reunited with him someday, but I also believe he's here with me. And I just didn't feel like I could disappoint him by having my life stop just because his life on earth stopped. And I just I just want my boys to be proud of their mom, and he's one. So
Oh, love it. So, what would you say to somebody else who's going through something like that? Because I mean, there's plenty of moms out there who are the primary caregiver for their
mhm,
children who are disabled, and it's a day in and day out from bathing and feeding, regardless of the age. What would you say to a mom going through that and now comes to the same place you are?
yeah,
Because I know some moms have a really difficult time getting through that.
yeah. They're not alone. That's one of the biggest difficulties is you feel like I felt like I was in this by myself. It was just my family, and that nobody else understood what we were going through. Uh, and and I think other families, other moms need to know that they are not alone. And we have this great tool now that allows us to get together, and it's this medium. And I know when COVID hit, I was so used to doing everything online, and people were so they felt like they were so isolated and alone. This process opened the world to me, and I began to really communicate with people all over. And I think that moms of kids with disabilities, just need to take some time. You've got to take care of yourself. You've got to take care of yourself. And that is so hard to remember. I remember going into my doctor's office about a month after Evan died, and I basically told him, the kid who needed me is dead, and the other two boys, they don't need me. So I don't need to take care of myself. It doesn't matter if I die because the one who needed me is gone. And and I just realized on my way home from that appointment how sad that was, that that wasn't the case at all. But that was exactly how I was feeling,
Sure.
that I didn't have a purpose anymore because the one kid who I was taking care of didn't need me to take care of him anymore. And and I think for other moms in this situation, you've got to realize that you can't take care of other people if you aren't taking care of yourself. And that's probably one of the biggest things I learned after he passed away, that I was so disappointed in myself that I didn't take better care of myself.
Mm,
And that, any mom gets short and gets frustrated. And at the end, in the last few months, Evan was just in so much pain, and we couldn't figure out why, that he would just scream and yell 24/7. He basically was delirious because he wasn't sleeping. Neither were we, my husband and I, because he would scream all night long. And I found myself getting angry at him because just go to sleep, you know?
mhm.
And um and the sad, not the sad, but the thing is that all of us are like that. It doesn't matter whether you've got a kid with disabilities or not. In the
Right.
middle of the night, when you are tired and the kids are screaming, it's frustrating. And just know you're not alone. Take advantage of the services and the tools that are available to you, and just take care of yourself.
I think that's a really good piece of information, and honestly, I can't imagine that 24/7 care, right? A lot of I was I looked forward to that time where the first time we left them alone and went out to lunch while they were and we didn't need a babysitter, right? So I can't imagine that
Mhm.
constant 24-hour care and what that
Yeah.
takes from a person, because my baby cried the first 6 months of his life to the point where I just had to get in the shower, and so I couldn't
Mhm.
hear it. And it also gave me a little perspective on how somebody might abuse their child. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying that I could feel that frustration, and
Mhm.
when I felt that frustration, I thought, "Oh, this is how some people can abuse
Yeah.
their children,"
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, people would ask us to go out to eat and stuff, and we would always have to say no, because for us to make arrangements to go out for my husband and me to go out, we had to get a nurse, we had to get funding, we had to get it approved through Medicaid, we had to do because Evan qualified for Medicaid because of his disabilities, and it would take us several weeks to plan a night out,
Mm,
and it was just difficult. It was just too difficult to
sure.
do, so we just
Sure.
didn't.
Wow. Well, let's talk a little bit about what you're doing now because you seem to be in a pretty good place right now. Um, and I understand my heart breaks for you. I can't even imagine that. So, um, but I've known you for a little while now, and I know that you're in a pretty good place and you're doing some amazing things. So let's talk about that. Let's
Well,
talk
thank you.
about what you do for a living.
Well, I basically write for a living, and we were talking beforehand that I just want to make people look good, and I do that by making sure that their websites attract people, that their websites speak to their ideal clients. So I write website copy, I write email sequences. So those emails that you get all the time after you sign up for something, you get one and then you get another one and then you get some copywriter like me, sorry, wrote those. I write blogs for other people. Right now, I'm really trying to build a course creation side of my business. I really want to help coaches. It sounds really cheesy, but my tagline is I want to help people who are helping people so they can help more people. Because when you're a personal development coach or even a business coach or a life coach, you work one on one with someone or you work in a group, and you only have so much time. You can only do so much. And there comes a point where you just can't expand your business anymore because there's no more room in your life.
Right.
And so I've started trying to help coaches realize they can create a course, they can write a book, they can create a webinar, they can do something else that would just run on a regular schedule or be available in an evergreen manner all the time. And then they can reach many, many more people. And it's not something that it makes their exposure exponential.
Do you why coaches? What made you choose coaches?
I um, I got involved with an organization about 6 months ago called the Ultimate Coaches Mastermind because a friend introduced me to the folks there, and I just realized that coaches have coaches have a heart. They just they they're a coach because they went through something that they don't want other people to go through, and it's a very selfless type of action. Um, and I just want to help them. I want to help them reach more people because the more people they reach, the more lives they change, the better the world becomes. Now, I'm not a coach, so I can't coach someone else in what to do, but I can help a coach reach more people and change the world. So that's
Well,
what I do.
I'm a coach, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And I do love that. I love the fact, but I do want that whole part about being, what did you call it? Selfless, right?
I did say selfless, yes.
Yeah, I might have to disagree just a tad because as a coach, you're right. We all go through and we want to help people get through a piece of our business that was really
Mhm.
difficult.
Yeah.
And that's not the reason I became a coach. I became a coach because I felt called to that when I was 26 years old and I didn't even know what that meant. I don't even think there were coaches when I was
Mhm.
26 years old, right? I just knew I was supposed to help small business owners make more money.
Which
But
says a lot about you.
yes, but I believe the selfless part says to me, a coach doesn't make any money, which is true. Most coaches don't make more than $25,000 a year unless you're really good at it. And unless you know
Unless
how
you're
to
really good
sell.
at it, and unless you have somebody who can make you look good.
Yes. Yes. Well, you do yeah, you actually have to look good and you have to know your stuff, right?
Yeah,
You have to be
yeah,
able to be there and
absolutely.
you have to know how to sell. And I think that's the part that coaches struggle with is they don't know how to sell, they don't know how to take on new clients. and that makes them selfless because they're not making any money.
Right,
Just
right,
right?
right.
So, yeah, just kind of for the audience there, I wanted to kind of clarify that. All right, so you, are writing and you have all these things you wanna do with coaches, which I love that, and I don't think I really realized to the extent, what you do for coaches, and maybe you and I will need to have a conversation a little bit later and, see what I have that I could take off my plate. But, how can people get hold of you so that they can reach out to you and say, "Hey, look, I can't keep up with the follow-up sequences. I can't keep up with I'm launching a program and I need 15 nurture sequences," right?
Mhm.
How can they reach out and get hold of you?
Well, several different ways. I've got email. It's just susie.taylor.writer@outlook.com.
Awesome.
I'm also on Facebook, which is I think it's just the Facebook slash SA Tailor Made. So I
Tailor
don't know.
made.
Yes, I don't know where I came up with the S. Well, I do know where I wanted to use tailor made in anything that I did, but that was already taken. And so
Uh,
I'm like, all right, Susie Anna Tailor Made, SA Tailor Made. And I've started to do weekly lives on Facebook where I talk about websites and how to make them better and maybe a little self-servingly talk about how it's important that you have professional copy and what a professional copywriter brings to your website. And I do have a website. It is it's typical for people who do websites for other people.
hmm.
I
I'm like,
don't I don't think I gave it to you.
I
So
have it.
yeah.
I have it. Let
Okay.
me
Yeah.
let me pop that into the
Yeah. But it's typical for the people who make websites for other people, their websites need updated. So I write copy for other people's websites. My website copy needs to be updated and it will happen.
so
But
it's like
but it's
the
still
cobbler's
there.
children, right?
Pardon me?
It's like the cobbler's children. They have
Yes,
no shoes.
exactly. They have no shoes, right?
Most
Right.
business owners are like that. I totally get
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Um, let me. I always like to finish this up by asking, what is so. First of all, reach out to Susie. First of all, I want to say that reach out to Susie because she's got some really great ideas. Really, do you do websites as well? Do you create websites?
I don't create and design websites, but I do work with people who do. And so if that's something you're looking for, we can collaborate with one of my other friends.
Awesome. Very cool. So I always ask people before we end our podcast is what is one piece of business advice that you would give another entrepreneur?
Believe in yourself.
Mm, I love
Believe
that.
in yourself.
I love that.
That
That's why it's
the
never on my question list. It's never on my question list because I want to really know from the heart what people think. And
Yeah.
you came out with that like that.
Well, that's what I've been focusing on for the last 2 years is I can do this. That in those wee hours of the night when I wake up and I keep thinking of all the things that have to be done and I think, "Oh, I might as well just stop. There's no way. There's no way I can do this." You gotta have that drive to say, "Yes, I can. Yes, I can, and I will."
It sounds like you have a milk crate moment like every other night or something.
Well, yeah, I will say that I have done a lot of work on myself, and there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but,
Yes. Many more
it'll
milk crate
happen.
moments to come.
Yes.
Right? Every entrepreneur has probably one a week. So, Susie, thank you so much for being here. It's been my pleasure to talk to you. I'm so grateful that you said yes when I asked you, and I just wish you the best.
Thank you so much for having me, Jean. I really appreciate it.
Have a good day. Bye.
Thanks.